Why hello there, and welcome to day 4 of our Web Element a Day project. The last 3 days we created these awesome elements right here. Oh man, they're gorgeous. Today we are going to be continuing along and creating a progress bar. If you sneaked a peek right here, you probably probably knew what I was talking about before I said it. Okay, so let's get started. This one's going to be kind of different. I wanted to do it a creative look on it. And I have the idea in my head. I haven't actually seen it done. So there might be some mistakes, but it's all a learning process, so it should be fun. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to grab the rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to bump up this radius to maybe, we'll try 16 and see what that looks like. And let's go just a little bit bigger. Let's go with 24, see what that looks like. That's better. I kind of want to make it big and oversized so it's easier for you guys to see. If I had it really small, then you guys are squinting your eyes and it's hard to see and not very enjoyable. So I'm going to go oversized, and you can keep it at this size or change it. Your choice. So let's just go with that. I'm going to delete this effects that's on there already. And then bump up my fill, that's down. And then I'm just going to give it a quick color. I'm going to stick with this green theme. So I'm going to click on the green there. And we'll be changing that later on. I'm just getting a base color for now. Okay, so now that we have the basic progress bar shape, we need to stylize it and make it look funky fresh. So I'm going to double click it, and I kind of want to give it like a glass sphere. It's going to be glass and then have like bubbles inside of it, if that makes any sense. So hopefully this translates into something that looks cool, or if not, we'll change it up along the way. So I'm going to start off with a gradient overlay, and actually, good catch, when working with vectors I like to duplicate the background layer and then create a clipping mask, and then this one we'll just add a stroke, 1 pixel, and we'll make it a dark green, and we could change this up, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to double click this top one, going to click Control H to hide that line. You can kind of see around the vector, and then I'm going to add a gradient overlay and change this to overlay, lower that opacity, bring up the scale, something like that. That's a nice good start. And I want to add let's add an inner shadow, and it's going to be at the top right there. I'm going to change the color to white, and let's bump up that opacity, something like that. That's looking pretty good so far. And then let's do a inner glow. Let's see how this is going to turn out. Let's make it white as well. Or let's keep it yellow. Maybe that'll look glossy or glassy or whatever. And let's bring up that size. Something like that. Let's see what white looks like. I'm going to go with a slight yellow, just to give it some kind of a cool look. Let's see if we can do anything. Let's see if we can do anything cool with bevel and emboss. I'm going to bring down the shadow here. And then see what happens if we bump up this size. Let's see before, after. Let's keep it off. Okay, so now I kind of want to have a slight texture inside of there. I'm going to duplicate this layer again, or actually delete it. And we'll just create a rectangle. I'm going to create a new layer. And then I'm going to have the rectangle, maybe we'll do something like this. Drag it down right about here. Right click, create clipping mask, and then change this to overlay, and then Control H to hide that, and I don't know, that's probably good. Let's duplicate it again, bring it up here, let's zoom in, and we'll scale that down. Alright, so that just gives it some kind of artifacts inside of just something to reflect. It might look kind of cool. And then what I want to do actually is duplicate this layer. I'm going to delete the effects, right click it, create clipping mask, change the color to white, and then we're going to drag it up. And then lower that opacity. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad, not bad. It's kind of getting there. I think this bottom stroke might be a little too bright, so we'll bring that down. And then let's bring the opacity back up, and we did this in the last tutorial. I'm going to bring down the fill actually, bring that to a good level, and then I'm going to double click it, and now I can add a stroke to it. 1 pixel white. Alright, and then I'm going to bring down this opacity to about right there, and then let's actually bring the fill all the way down and then do a gradient overlay and do white to nothing, and then let's see what reverse does, and then drag that down. Okay, it's getting there. I'm pretty happy with this. Let's bring down the stroke opacity, and then maybe let's see what outer glow looks like. I don't want to overdo this, but I kind of want to make it look sweet. Yeah, it brightens it up too much. Let's go without outer glow. Okay. Let's delete this thin one. I'm going to delete that. And we'll leave it at that. Now, one other thing that I want to do is create a new layer. And then I want to grab my brush tool, right click, have a hardness of 100%, and then I'm going to go to Window and then Brush. And I'm going to modify this brush a little bit. We're going to add spacing, and then let's see the size. That's not bad. Scatter dynamics, let's do a size jitter. And scattering, let's click on here and turn up the scattering as well. The count, I don't know. Let's just paint and see what that looks like. Let's go to the top, and alright. I'm just going to paint some random bubbles inside of here. Very nice. Alright, so I'm going to double click here, and then I'm going to bring down the fill, add a stroke, 1 pixel. Let's see what white looks like, and that looks really bad. Let's add an outer glow, change that to white, and let's see before. I like it without it. Alright, we'll just leave it at that. And there you go. That's pretty much the basic shape. Let's give it a quick background, and what I'm going to do is duplicate this background layer, and it's not going to be anything. Let's just give it a quick dark gray color. And what I'm going to do is grab my white direct selection tool right here, select that end, and then just push out 1, 2, 3, then here 1, 2, 3, this one 1, 2, 3, and then this one 1, 2, 3. So then we have an even spread all around it. Alright, I'm going to double click this, and actually let's hide this top layer so we can just focus on this. Add a gradient overlay, go to reverse, change this to overlay, very subtle, and then the stroke will be black, or that's white. Go to black, and then that's good. Let's add a drop shadow. We're doing pretty much what we did with this search item, so then there's a little bit of a gloss on the bottom. So I'm going to change this to normal, white, and then spread 100, size, distance 1, size 1. So then it's very subtle, but it's right there. And then let's add a inner shadow. Change this to normal, make it white, and then that's not bad. Let's just bring down the opacity, and there we go. That way the background isn't so funky and nothing. It's a little more entertaining, something like that. All right, so that is our basic shape. What I want to do now is actually to show a stage of it where the progress bar isn't 100% full. So let's save this so we don't lose anything. Let's group this together. I'm going to group it. Alright. And we'll name this full. And then I'm going to duplicate it. Alright, so now with the layer duplicated, this is going to be a little bit tricky, but we're going to try and make an oval here. And then, so it looks like the end is kind of 3D. So let's go down, and we're going to be modifying this bottom layer right here. So what I want to do is zoom in a little bit, and let's just draw a template of what we have to do. I'm going to go to my ellipse tool right here and zoom in, and then draw out from about right here to the bottom of the stroke to the bottom of the stroke, and that's probably good. Very nice. And now what I want to do is have the fill down, double click this, and have the stroke a little bit brighter. Something like that. And then we'll probably want the fill to be black, so that it looks kind of 3D. but then we'll just lower it way down. So it kind of looks like an end cap. And now what we pretty much have to do is hide this right portion of this progress bar. So go down to here, and we're going to create a quick shape. I'm going to grab my pen tool, and I'm going to go from like right here, click, and then in the center, arch it, click here, and then we're going to drag it out to here. Click, hold down shift or whatever you want, and just connect the shape. And now the shape is on a new layer. It didn't draw it onto the old one, so we have to select it, Control C, go to this bottom layer and paste it, and then we'll have it as a punch. Let me hide this background layer and then delete this one. Alright, so that's simple enough to come up with that. The size looks a little bit wrong. I think it's slightly too large. So let me zoom way in, and I'm going to grab this layer again, and then let's see if we can bring it down. Something like that, and then let's see what this one looks like down there. Okay. So now you can see how that's looking. It's not 100% perfect. Let me zoom in a little bit and see what's going on. Let's see what inner shadow would look like. If we change the distance and then put it on 0, something like that, so it kind of looks like it's fading inside. We'll bump up the size, bring down the choke, and maybe something like that. Bring down the opacity. Let's zoom out and see what that looks like. And I'm liking that better. It might be a little too strong still, so I'm going to bring it down. Bring down the choke. And yeah, that's good. I'm liking that. Okay, the stroke might actually be a little bit too heavy, so let's bring that down a little bit. And that's looking nice and smooth, nice and clean. Now one last thing I want to do is show down here in text what the progress is. So let's create a new layer, and then just go to a default, like a dark gray color, something like that. And we're just going to write, let's see, that's about 80%. And then let's bring down that size, way down. Lovely. And then we'll make the font Helvetica new, and then condensed bold. Beautiful. And then maybe even make it slightly darker. And then one last step is going to add that slight white drop shadow. So go to drop shadow, normal, white, distance of 1, size of 0, and it's not much, but it's there, just to stay consistent. And we'll center it like that. Beautiful. So now we have our, let's bring that up. We have our half state, well 80%, and then our full state. So before and then after. Very cool. Looks nice and modern. So let's just quickly stay in that background. We'll combine all this, and we'll name this progress bar. Whoa, I almost said progress bar. That's crazy. Alright, so progress bar, and that's going to finish off day 4 of our short series. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, and we'll learn something else that's cool. Thanks for watching, and see you later.